Alright, welcome back now. So in this video, I'll be talking about handling data overlapping and adjusting row heights. Handling data overlapping and adjusting row heights. So in our go to our Excel sheet, I have let's not use this. Let's not use this. Let's use okay, let's work with this now. So assuming that we want to have this information here, and for instance, what I want to now inside this cell, I'm going to just type name of footballers, for instance, name or names of footballers, so to say. So I wrote name of footballers. I could edit it here, names, or I could also double click here to make it active. All right now, so that is all right. So names of footballers, but you can see that just like we've had in other cases, this is occupying. Let me zoom in. So just like we've had in previous cases, this is shooting to column B. It's almost entering column C. You almost think that it's actually in column B, but when you click here, you realize that there's nothing there. There's also nothing in column C. But in column A, A1 specifically, that is where the text is. But then how do we handle such cases? Well, that is where adjusting of column width and row height comes in. So in this case now, I could just, this is the row width, right? There are the various ways you can go about this. The traditional way is you just put your cursor at the edge. Remember I said that normally when you want to highlight, you make sure your cursor is at the center. But when it's at the borderline like this, it does a different case. It does a different task. So now that it's at the borderline, I'm going to left click. Once I left click, it tells me the width already, 80 pixel, and then I can drag to make it smaller, which is not what we want. We want to increase it to accommodate fully this footballer. So you can see now that I dragged it to the right and it's accommodating the footballer and it's no longer overlapping. Now that is how to increase column width. Another way, let me reverse that. Another way to go about that, which I find more efficient, is just highlight the whole column and double click this place. Okay, I didn't do that well. Can you see the double clicking automatically adjust the width to occupy whatever? And this is necessary because in some cases now you probably might be writing so many things, and then assuming that the footballer you wrote is some are short, some are filling that space, and then you just have to write a name or a data that is longer. Do you understand? Each time you do that, you just need to just do this again and auto adjust. So Excel checks everything you have on each row and sees the longest and adjusts everything to fit in. So imagine I had something here now. Let me undo that first of all. Now imagine I also had something down here. Let's assume that this data set, we add it up to 500 lines, and in row 19 I have something longer like this, and in row 80 I have something even longer. Let me just type English, and in row 80 we have a text that is as long as that. But then the only thing I'm seeing right now, in some cases you are not going to have to type it. You probably get the data from somewhere and you just open the workbook and you find the data there. So you want to just adjust. For instance, this one that I showed us initially, if you notice now, you can see that this one now, this column C is so choked that you can barely see this is Alpharetta GA, New York, NY. This is Pittsburgh. United States. You can barely see them. So if I want to start adjusting based on only what I can see, I might still not get some correctly. For instance, Alpharetta GA is well covered, but you can see that Munich, Germany is not well covered. So the best thing is to highlight everything and just do that double click and it adjusts. Now you might look to you like, why is there so much space now that this is all it needs? But when you start scrolling down, you realize that there's some information that this is a bit longer than the usual. Let's keep scrolling down. We'll find some that are even longer than that. So let me see if I'll find something. Okay, now this is another instance. I see that this is even longer. So Excel reads the whole column and adjusts it based on the required width of every column, every data in the whole of that column. So back to this now. So we have something that overlaps to column B here. We have this one, it overlaps to column D, and this one overlaps to, let's see, even column E. Now, if you want to do it blindly, you might feel like, okay, it is just this column, this row 4, and you just probably adjust only to this place. And it's looking like, yes, it's now, you've adjusted the width. But when you go down, realize that, oh, there's still more to do. So it's always best to just do it automatically, like just highlight the entire column and double click and adjust it to fit into everything there. So now the same way we adjust the width, we can also, the width of the column, we can also adjust the height. So in this case now, if I highlight this is like the header. If I highlight this to make this look like an header, let me probably just, okay, let me leave it for now. So I'm clicking on this one, I'm highlighting the entire row. But let's assume I want to make this, I want to increase the height, I want to make it wider to make it look like an header. So putting my cursor away from the middle but to this edge, border bottom, I could just left click and it's already showing me that the height is 24 pixels, and I could drag up, which is extremely small, or drag down, which is extremely wide. So you can just always adjust this the way you want it, right? So that is adjusting row height and column width. Let me see what else I've not talked about. Let me return this back to what it was. Okay. Right now I need, oh sorry, let me zoom, let me take off, let me just zoom in back. So that is that for that. And we also have what we call text wrapping. Now text wrapping, to do text wrapping, like I wrote here, select cells from your ribbon, go to home, alignment, wrap the wrap text to make it flow within the cell. Let me see that. I'm probably not going to cover that. We'll probably see, we're going to dwell more on that later and later on, right? So from my own, where is okay, in yours it might be written properly, and in this is a line. If it's not written in text, sometimes I find it difficult to, okay, this is merge, okay, this is wrap text. So as you can see in my own workbook, it was not written. In your workbook it might be written, just like these ones are all written. Now I get to have to figure it out, they look alike somehow, so I have to figure it out that, okay, which is this. So when you hover over it, you can see that Excel shows you what you're about to click. I don't want to merge and center, I'm looking for text wrapping, wrap text, and this is what I want. So it's written there, it says wrap extra long text into multiple lines, so you can see all of it. So for instance now, let's increase the text here. Let's increase the text. Let's assume that this is the whole text and it's quite long and everything is spanning across. But let's assume that for the case, for the purpose of what you are doing, the project you're working on, you don't want to adjust the width. You want everything to maintain. You want everything to fall between this width. Now, what can you do? You will just click on this and then you will click on wrap text. And instead of shooting across, or instead of adjusting the entire, the width of the entire column just because of only that row 4, you can just make the row 4 rather fit into the original width. So you don't have to tamper with the width because of only one row. Rather, the width should try to bend, try to squeeze itself. So instead of adjusting the whole thing, it's squeezing itself and then forming different rows till it accommodates everything. So that is basically that's how to use the wrap text. That is called text wrapping. All right, now, so in the next video now, let me see, we're talking about Excel's autocomplete feature. So see you in the next video.